Big news today. It's shocking on the timing, but after talking to Jacina Anderson, I guess not. Mike Priefer out as the special teams coach. We kind of figured that it would be a package deal, that Woods and Priefer would be let go early after the season was over. Woods was right away. The longer time went, I thought Priefer was safe. Apparently not, because somebody else became available that they're more interested in. But was anybody initially, upon hearing the news, was anyone else's reaction, that's weird, the timing of this?
I was shocked, only because you rarely see coaches get fired, coordinators get fired at this time of the year, unless there's a new head coach coming in and he wants to bring his guys.
Right, yeah.
Usually they get fired when Joe Woods got fired. So I was surprised, although I did hear from someone, might have been Jason, I don't know, that maybe they weren't completely, was it you that said they weren't completely sold on Priefer, but they decided to stick with him? But clearly, obviously, we'll get to Ray Ventrone.
Right.
With the Colts having a new coach.
They had a shot to upgrade at that spot, and they took it.
Yeah, I poked around on it at the Schwartz hiring, around the time of the Schwartz hiring, and was told, it was under consideration, but we're going to keep him. He's safe. And then even after that, there was some whispers of, watch out for Priefer, I'm not sure. Even though I had been told he's safe, about a week or two later, it was not so sure. And then to be at this point, you kind of assumed, okay, well, he's going to be safe. Strictly speculation. This happened an hour and a half ago. I haven't talked to him. Yeah. Strictly speculation. I'm guessing Shane Steichen is going into the Colts and told them that he was not going to be retained. Ventrone had permission to go look elsewhere, and the Browns agree with what you said. They jumped on it. They saw him. They liked him better than what they had, and they just upgraded the spot.
That's what happened.
By
the way, the hiring of Ventrone is not official yet. But you can read the team.
It's trending that way.
Yeah, I mean,
Colts
the Browns
had the number 5 special
permission.
teams in the league last year.
Which is curious why why'd they be willing to just let him go?
Yeah.
Who? Ventrone?
Yeah, the Colts.
I said the same thing. Guys, around the league, you know this, he's well thought of.
Yes.
As a coach. Now, you'll remember him here, long-haired guy on special teams.
That's gone, the hair,
he made
right?
a Pro Bowl team. Yeah. Professionally cut.
Yeah.
I was over at Indianapolis for the joint practices a couple of years ago. And this guy came up to me, and he was beelining at me like he knew me. Tony Dungy was there, and I was talking to Tony, so I thought, well, maybe he's going to come up and talk to Tony.
Yeah.
And Ray comes up and bear hugs me, and I'm like, oh, my God. It took me a second. I saw the face. I'm like, that's Ray. Very well thought of as a coach, and a guy, by the way, who could easily one day become a defensive coordinator, and eventually, he's from the Belichick-Mangini tree. He was originally, the Patriots thought about drafting him as Mr. Irrelevant with their last pick in the 7th round. After they'd won the Super Bowl, they decided instead to go with someone else. They signed him as a free agent, and he was cut and made the team cut, brought back and practice team, but was one of those players who you looked at him and you're like, oh, he's not making the team. Then you watched him play and said, oh, his heart's bigger than Texas.
Yeah. And
you realized why. But he could be a D coordinator down the road and maybe even a head coach. I don't think that's a stretch.
No, I don't think it is. If you're a rookie head coach taking over for the first time, and you have enough, and you have your own guys you want to bring in, they all do. But you would think with a unit that has had success that there's some stability there. He's been there. You'd think you would come in and say, we're going to leave that one alone. I'm going to bring my guys here.
Isn't it possible Ventrone went to him and said, hey, I'd like to go coach with the Browns?
Possible.
Do the right thing by me.
Now, I think your point is more likely. I mean, maybe that happened, but I think the trigger to the whole thing was the change in Indianapolis.
Yeah.
No, but that's what I'm saying.
So that he may have reached out and said,
once they hired their new coach,
I don't know who's coming in here. I don't think he has any ties at all to Stefanski that I could find.
No, I don't think so.
But he has ties, obviously, to the organization.
Right.
And I think,
I believe
one
he interviewed
led to the other, I think.
I believe he interviewed for the Colts vacancy. I believe
he did,
and maybe he gets passed over and feels like I don't want to be here.
Right,
but
possibly.
It would be an awful big leap for him to go from where he is to head coach.
Yeah, I don't think that'll happen. I think there would have to be a defensive coordinator slot in between.
Bellet didn't.
Harbaugh did it. Harbaugh did it. It has been done.
Did Cowher do it too, or was Cowher a linebackers coach in between?
Cowher was a coach in between.
Okay.
And Ventrone's only been coaching since.
Yeah, no.
But I mean, Jeff Saturday walked off the set and was a head coach. So
who knows? All
not a good one. But.
Yeah.
By the way, fun fact for you: I actually was part of a coaching staff with Ray Ventrone that won a championship. So we've got connections here.
Flag football or fantasy football?
So Eric Mangini every year had this big football camp in Hartford. And Eric would call on former Patriots, Jets, and people that he knew in the media to help run the camp. And at the end of the camp, they split into 8. It was a huge camp, hundreds of kids. We split up into 8 coaching staffs, and one of the coaching staffs was myself, Ray, and my son Corey. Eric wanted Corey to come there and help coach the kids on some speed technique.
Yeah.
So we were coaching together, and we knew right away. We drafted the fastest kid, because Ray was fast. We drafted the fastest kid and the kid with the best arm. And so it's a round-robin tournament. You're going through play. It's an all-day thing. And the kids loved Ray. His interaction with them was – Corey even said afterwards, man, I'd play any sport for that guy.
Wow.
He and Corey became buddies.
Yeah.
And that's what I decided in the championship game. The team we were playing had more class, had more talent, but somehow our guys came together and won the championship. And I think it had a lot to do with Ray made it fun for everybody. So I think he's got it's certainly not the NFL, but I liked what I saw from him. Go ahead.
One more tidbit on Browns coaching news. This is from the last 10 minutes from Pete Thamel. Sources, Utah State defensive coordinator Ephraim Banda is expected to join the Cleveland Browns staff. Banda was the coordinator on USU's Mountain West title team in 2021, which finished 3rd nationally in tackles for loss. He previously worked at Miami, Mississippi State, and Texas. Take the next one. Banda will coach safeties for the Browns, per sources. He coached safeties at Miami from 2016 to 2020, including the final 2 years as the co-defensive coordinator there. So that is 2 of the 4 open
remember
spots.
The Browns had 5 open spots, I think, right?
Well, now they do.
Well, they had 4. They had 5, and Jim Schwartz was one of them.
Yeah.
So it's 4 current.
Okay. I thought there was more than that.
I don't know anything about that. I don't know anything about him. I'm trying to find the tie. I don't know that he wouldn't have any ties to Schwartz. He wouldn't have any ties to Stefanski that I could see on that resume.
Yeah, I'd have to look at the tree.
Gee, what do you think about the special team situation? We haven't heard from you yet.
The timing is confusing. I thought if they was going to do something, they would have did something at the beginning with Joe Woods. But I just think, from my sense, I'm not going to say that they have outside people influencing them. But I think what's happening is you're starting to see that they got an understanding that last year wasn't good enough. Somebody had to say, come on, guys, we can't. I don't think we should go into next year with the same type thing.
Right.
Because
Does everybody think it's the right move, by the way?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Jay, do you agree?
Yeah, I mean,
Priefer sucked.
they had a lot of just awful miscues on the special teams. So
the big one for I think everyone was the incorrect cover on the onside kick that cost them the Jets game.
Yeah.
To me, fireable offense. It was just because, especially when Tyvus drew it up, and Tyvus said, I've played special teams at every level, high school, college, professional. This isn't the way you coach that play. And I don't know what they were doing.
I poked around on that, and I think that was actually the way that they coached it, which you could say that's what because it goes back to, and I'm doing this off the top of my head, and I should look at notes, but it had to do with they have one less person up on the line now than they did before for safety reasons, and that changed the way some teams block this now.
The lines have to be balanced, right?
Yeah, I forget now, and I don't want to say something incorrect, but it has to do with the fact that there's one less person up on the line than what there was before. And the way that I don't know that it was, because remember, the very next game, they blocked it the same way where they left that guy open.
Right.
And we sat here and went, oh my God, they just did it again.
Right.
And I think that actually was the way that they were coaching it. But, I mean, regardless, somebody blew it on that. You should not have what happened against the Jets.
You can circle that play, and all of a sudden, 8 and 9, is that what they
But
finished?
it's not just that play. It's not just that play.
It's
the Browns special team sucked the whole time he was here. They drafted this kicker. Everybody said he was going to be the next great kicker. He wasn't very good as a rookie.
Yeah.
And whether that's his fault or not, the bottom line is everything that happens on special teams goes on you.
Yeah, it does. But I don't know that I don't know that that special teams coaches are held responsible for kickers' misses.
Well,
now if there's a breakdown and there's a lot of blocks, which we saw at least
we
two
had
of
a
those
couple.
kicks
There
were
was a couple
blocked.
blocks.
That to me is more concerning than a kicker moving it 3 inches wide to the left. That's on the kicker every time.
That could have saved him, though.
It could have.
It could have been something that he said, look how great I'm doing with the kicking game. Like the return game for 3, 4, 5 years has been
they did have an unfortunate injury. They addressed that position.
Yep.
And then boom, right away before the season gets going, he's out.
Yep.
So that hurt.
So I look at it as a whole. To me, I don't know what I feel about the indecisiveness, because I thought this was a pretty easy, we're gonna move on, just like they did with Joe Woods one game afterwards. So it tells me, like, okay, well, if you wouldn't have a delay like this, if you didn't have two competing interests, somebody had to say, well, I think this is okay, we can ride it out. Somebody had to be like, well, let's pivot and change. Because here's the thing, even if you have him on staff, coaches usually, organizations usually never just knee-jerk, for lack of a better term, and say, oh, he's available, we want you to get out.
Yeah, well,
It's an upgrade, though, and it's a clear upgrade.
Yes, I agree, but it does show you that they weren't complete. They were going to keep a guy that they didn't fully believe in.
Right.
That's not great.
Well, because part of that equation, though, is who you're going to replace.
That's exactly it. That goes through every coaching change at any level in any sport.
And suddenly, a guy that they like came available.
If you're going to fire a guy, okay, but who are you going to get? You got to get somebody who you like better, and there was no one out there. If they didn't believe in him, fine. But if there's nobody better available that you believe in, you have to keep what you have.
In the Joe Woods situation, what was different about that, they didn't have his immediate replacement ready. They went through the interview process. But I believe that they had seen enough from Joe to know he was not the guy.
And it's a little bit easier with DCs. There's always candidates.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
The pool is much bigger.
Special teams is a little
but
smaller
I do think that they had quickly made the decision on Joe. We have to move on.
Yes.
I think with Priefer, they were in the space where it wasn't great. It could have been a lot better. Who's available?
Right.
It's not like there's this pool of candidates
Right.
just swimming out there.
Right.
So they hit pause on that. Josina told me this morning that because I said the timing was odd, and she said they had more pressing issues. Okay, maybe the first week of the offseason.
What else were they doing for the last month?
Maybe the second week of the offseason.
Right.
What
We're
else is pressing?
6 weeks removed from
Right.
their last football game.
I mean, what
Did
are
you
they
ask her
doing?
for any specifics or no?
She wouldn't
Was
give
it-
them
was
to
it-
me, and if she did, she told me all she could tell me.
It could be
And
possible.
I think
that-
it's just that a better guy came
Well,
available.
maybe the reason they didn't do it sooner was because they had Ray Ventrone targeted maybe the whole time, because they knew the Colts were going to be, hiring a new coach.
But did they? I mean, did they know which way that was going to go?
No, they didn't know which way it was going to go, but they knew they were going to have a new coach.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess Saturday could have been back, but still,
He did interview.
He would have been back as a full-time. He would have been able to pick his staff or
Yeah.
whatever. And so maybe they were like, listen, let's not do this right now in case Ventrone doesn't become available. We don't want to rush and hire somebody else that we like Ventrone more. Who knows? In the end, it doesn't matter, because in the end, they made the change, and they got a guy that we all like better. So,
Question for you guys.
yeah.
The Colts, in theory, can block the Browns from interviewing him because it's a lateral move. Special teams.
Yeah.
Special teams.
They've already given permission, though.
Have they?
Yeah, it's what I read. Now, could have been.
I heard the Browns requested permission to interview. I have not seen the Colts had granted it.
But you may be right. I thought I read this morning that they have requested and received permission. Now, I read so many articles
But
this
if
morning,
that,
I could be
yeah,
wrong.
I mean,
if no one else
yes,
saw that.
I did. I don't remember seeing that for sure, but
Knowing how the politics work, I would imagine that they don't make this move unless they have assurance from the Colts that
Probably.
he's
I
going to
would
become
think
available.
so, too.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
And the way that certain reporters are tied into certain factions of the organization, and when things come out, I look at it and go, that came exactly from inside the
talking about the
building.
Pelissaro.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's exactly what I'm talking
That's
about.
what I'm.
So that comes from directly inside the building, and
Yeah.
for him to put that out makes me believe that the Browns have assurance from
Now,
the
it
Colts
could
that
be a
he's going to become
miscalculation
available.
on the Browns' part,
It
too.
could be. It could be.
It's
But
a-
usually it's not.
They've miscalculated a time or two before.
They have.
Fair.
But yes, in this
usually
case, you
And
probably.
Jay, it's my understanding, at least in my recollection of how these moves go, oftentimes DC coordinators don't always get permission. Coordinators in general don't always, but special teams, I believe, in my memory, it's different. Like, I don't think I can remember a team standing in the way of a special teams coach from interviewing with another club.
I mean, you have to somehow make it a upgrade in some way. If it truly is a lateral to lateral move, you have to give him a different title or
Right.
something. But in this instance, if you know you're not bringing the guy back, it's only fair to do right by the guy and say it's not going to work
Sure.
here for you. You have our permission, our blessing.
Now,
to go
maybe
look
they
elsewhere.
want the new coach in Indy to meet with Ventrone before they decide, because if I'm the new guy coming in, I might say, well, I want that guy.
Right. But I think what Jason,
I would imagine that's
I
already
think what
happened.
Jason's
You
saying.
think it's already happened?
I'm guessing.
Right,
Or
that had to
perhaps
have.
he already has a guy in mind.
I'm guessing. I'm
He's
totally
saying-
guessing on
He's
it.
saying it's a gentleman's permission slip. Go ahead out here. You can look for what you. It does you no good to retain somebody who obviously might want to go somewhere. If you're a special teams coach and you want to go somewhere else, I mean, it's a special teams coach. I'm not going to hold you back. And
Right,
be
right.
like because
I can't
that ain't-
remember it ever happening to a special teams coach. But
Look
It is what
at
it is.
the Browns actually being, in theory, a team that somebody chose over another team for an equal position. That doesn't happen very often.
Well, if he's on his way out in Indy and he knows he's on his way out,
yeah.
By the way,
If-
and there's not many jobs, like Mike Priefer's in trouble in terms of getting a job
because
for next year.
that's why the timing
There's
to
not
me
many
was odd.
openings.
The reason these firings typically take place right away is because that's when the job pool opens
Right.
up.
You want them to give him a much runway to get another job or to interview with somebody else.
Right.
And so, I mean, this is awkward. This is February. It's about to be March.
Yeah, but the combine's next week.
Maybe he can go to the Colts.
He'll have opportunities to network.
Screw up their special teams.
So, like, yeah. By the way, yeah. You guys, I just automatically look at it like this. Something tells me people are being motivated inside that building. It's the vibe is, oh no, we only got a limited time. We better make this worth it because everybody ain't gonna be back here.
I don't think they had to
can't
fire
lose
the
the
special teams coach to know that. Everybody knew that.
Yeah, well, he
everybody
was
knew.
gonna go. Yeah.
You can't lose a game, though. I know special teams are a huge part of it. Missed kicks are one thing. You know, you can't always look at the coach for that. Again, unless I said before, there's blocking scheme issues. But when you're not covering an onside kick that you know is coming, it wasn't a pop quiz. They knew it, they were ready for it, and they got totally snookered on it. And the thing of it is, I think the new recovery rate or success rate on onside kicks is like 5%.
Yeah,
If
it's
I'm
low.
not mistaken. The rule is
And
for
the
the
thing
receiving
that's
team to recover.
stuck in my head, and maybe I'm making too big of a deal about this with Mike Priefer. I go back to Minnesota. He's a special teams coach with the Vikings. They trade up to draft Daniel Carlson, #1 kicker in the draft. They take him right around the time that the Browns took. I forgot his name. Browns kicker.
Austin Seibert.
Thank you.
No.
Cade York.
Cade York.
Okay.
And Carlson is a disaster with Minnesota. Has one bad game.
Started
misses like
as a
3
dis-
kicks.
yeah.
Yeah, as a rookie. Has a terrible game, misses 3 kicks. They cut him.
Yeah.
He goes to the Raiders. He's now one of the best kickers in the league. Now
Yeah,
the
that's
Browns
the
have a
mulligan they'd
rookie.
like to have.
Yeah, now the Browns draft this kid, Cade York high, struggles through an inconsistent year as a rookie. The common denominator in that is Priefer. Now, again, I've yelled multiple times on the show, hire someone who is a kicking specialist for these
Right.
kickers. It doesn't make any sense to me that they
know.
don't, but
I know a guy.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
Does
You're-
it
I
bother
know
you?
you've said he likes Texas and he doesn't want to move.
Yeah, there's a guy
But
in
for
Texas who
crying
knows
out
that
loud,
stadium
Does,
awfully well.
do any teams have that guy?
Ravens
Baltimore.
It's so weird.
And by the way, who's got the best kicker? Now,
Yeah.
I'm not saying he's a product of Tucker's a product of their kicker, their coach.
It's so weird with all the money spent in the NFL that every team doesn't have that.
I'm with you.
And
Yeah.
there's a lot of kicking coaches, just like there's like Quincy Avery is Deshaun's quarterback's coach,
Yeah.
his private quarterback coach. There's a lot of private kickers that coach up these kickers going
Yeah.
into the draft and free agency when guys get cut.
but I
they'll
want a
go back
guy
and
in
work
the
with their
side
guy.
on the sidelines.
But I'm saying, like, it's not like this is a foreign thing. There
I
are
know.
guys who specialize.
It's so
They're
strange.
just not hired by NFL
We talked
teams.
about
they work
this with
independently on
Jay's
their own.
son, who's a track coach, yesterday, and it's like I was asking. I think it was off the air. I was
yeah, it
asking you.
was. Yeah.
I was like, because so your son works with the high jumpers, but he's not doing shot put because that's not his thing. He
It's
doesn't
like
know
football. There's specialized
Yeah.
coaches. Now, some coaching programs, USC, Texas, Florida, and track and field, have coaches that just coach the sprints.
Mm-hmm.
Then they have a coach that just coaches the long jumpers.
Right.
Then just the high jumpers.
Right.
Those are the programs that are going to have the most success.
that. Sure,
They
the
care
more in depth you are, the the
you're
better it's
in
going
the
to be.
weeds more. Corey's coaching
Yeah.
pole vaulters,
Right.
sprinters, and jumpers.
Right.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
Let me ask y'all this question: When Stefanski got sick, right, with the COVID thing, right?
Yeah.
He had an opportunity to pick anybody on his staff to coach against the Steelers. He didn't pick Woods. He didn't pick Van Pelt, even though it would have been a natural progression because he calls the plays, right? You
Yeah.
would have thought that Van Pelt would have called the plays because it been his choice for coach, but it
I
wasn't.
think Van Pelt did call the plays though in that game, didn't he?
I think Van Pelt called the plays.
I
and
think-
Priefer was
I
actually
think
the head
the
coach.
reason-
so why would he pick Priefer?
I think the reason is because it leaves your offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator to still do their jobs.
Yeah.
It's the least disruptive.
Yeah,
Right.
the only thing
Yeah.
that changes now is the overseer.
Right.
If you take Alex Van Pelt, and now he's the head coach. He's doing something that he doesn't do, call the plays, and he has to handle clock management for the first time.
Right,
So-
that's too much.
So I look at it. I mean, but you have to say, if you're a Priefer type person, you're like, well, listen. I mean, this is a guy who won you. He won you a playoff game. I mean,
This is a fact. He did win the game.
He went into Pittsburgh and almost dominated them. And he had to call. He didn't call the plays, but he was calling. Let's go for the fourth down. He was throwing the flag.
Decisions were his.
Decisions were his. So I thought it was kind of odd that, like, hey, this person would have been, like, out of all the people you could have chose, you chose him.
Now he's gone.
Man,
Yeah, Baker Mayfield won your playoff game too.
And he's gone too.
What'd that
he's
do
out of
for
here
you?
too.
So-
So now we
Now the coach and the quarterback of our only playoff win in a billion years are in the wind.
and then there was one. You didn't shadow around everybody. Everybody gone. It's only Stefanski left.
Well, and Barry.
Man, unless are they? If one goes, you are under the premise that other one's going too.
Yes, I
We
am.
didn't talk about something on the show. I know we're supposed to turn at 11:30 to do our AFC North team, but I don't think we talked about Bieniemy leaving Kansas City for Washington.
No,
Right.
we didn't.
And I just wanted you guys to weigh in if you had some strong thoughts on that, because this is just an enigma.
A lot of people have brought up he had some troubles off the field, which I had forgotten about, honestly, and
he
maybe
did.
that factors in.
Yeah.
But there's been other head coaches that have had troubles off the field that have gotten jobs.
Yeah.
So I don't know. A lot of people say he's
What do you
interviewed
think
bad.
of so the move clearly is it seems the overarching issues. There have been teams that have leaked out that he just interviewed very poorly.
Right.
So there's that. But the other thing is, and that they might just be trying to provide cover for not hiring by saying that.
Yeah.
The other issue is that he's in the shadow of Andy Reid, and he's
Right.
never going to get credit. So, the definition of insanity: keep doing what you're doing and expect different results. He's probably realized it's just not going to happen if
But
I'm
what's it-
under Andy Reid. So now he's going to Washington, where he has
Yeah.
no Patrick Mahomes and no Andy Reid to provide cover for him.
Well, he's got no quarterback, period.
Well, I know he doesn't, but now I think we're going to find out.
Jeez.
What
If
he
he
can look
succeeds
like.
here, he will be a head coach.
If he does well, I would think
Yeah,
right away he's a
I
head
think
coach.
he's in a tricky spot to succeed when he has no quarterback.
I agree.
But I do think it's interesting that Matt Nagy, who was the offensive coordinator before him, got a job right away, didn't do well. He's the OC again with the Chiefs.
Right.
Crazy.
So I'll be curious at the end of this year, if the Chiefs' offense is good again, does Matt Nagy get a second job?
Sean McCoy was sharply critical.
Oh,
of
man.
Bieniemy.
Sean McCoy's got an axe to
I'm
grind,
just saying.
no doubt. Yeah.
Well, he didn't just sort of offer criticism.
Yeah.
He just flat said, what has he done that's good?
Yeah.
And he flat said, I'm sorry, that is not his offense. Andy Reid he designs the offense. And he said, as for the play calling, the duties are split. But he was even talking about his coaching technique in practice. Very critical of that. He did him no favors.
Yeah.
And I was surprised that McCoy got no pushback at all from the panel that he made those comments on. Everybody just sort of sat there like yesterday. You dropped something, and we all just looked at you and said, well, that's low-key true. And everybody on the panel could have fired back and said, whoa, 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 whoa.
Who was this panel? Who was on this panel?
It's Emmanuel Acho.
Yeah,
and two guys
Acho
I
was,
haven't seen.
and I was surprised Acho didn't push back, to be completely honest. I just thought that somebody, I wish I had been on that panel because I would have dug down. I had a million follows.
The reality is, we often judge whether a guy is going to be. I don't know that Eric Bieniemy is going to be a good head coach or not. We often judge whether a guy is going to be a good head coach based on their success or their perceived success as an offensive coordinator or defensive
Correct.
coordinator, which in reality is not necessarily an indicator for being a good
Well,
head
let's
coach.
just look at, if you look at the Belichick tree, for instance.
Yeah.
All of those coordinators that were heaped praise, one after another, on
Right.
both sides of the ball, went and flamed out and failed miserably as head
Everywhere
coaches.
they went.
Some of them, many of them, failed twice.
Yes.
Bill O'Brien. It's like they all come home to roost at one
Yeah.
point. They've all have gone back to New England after
Yeah.
leaving.
And then they go get another job.
And then they fail again.
They fail again.
Right.
Like, here's the thing. Come on, Shady McCoy. Like, listen, you can talk about what you want to talk about. That man has rings. It don't, like, you can say you don't like what he talking or what he putting down. All I know is he's inside the building. All I know is he's calling the plays. All I know is he's doing what
Yeah.
he's doing. At the end of the day, there's people that are less qualified getting positions who have never called the plays, who have never sniffed a call sheet, and they just give new rookie guys. Like Jeff Saturday came right off the set. Come on over here, just come get it, right? At the end of the day, the goalposts have moved so many times for Eric Bieniemy is crazy. And for people sitting up here talking about why is it that, you know what I'm saying, he don't interview well. See, this is why I applaud LeBron James. You make sure your son get in the league. I don't care what nobody say. You make sure you pull every nepotism move you can, and they going to draft him, and you leverage what you can to get him in the league. Because at the end of the day, it's the haves and the have-nots.
Well, that's what people do.
That's what people do.
They use their contacts.
They use their contact. They use what they got. And even after Andy Reid come out and say, this man has done X, Y, and Z,
still can't get a job.
people still won't give him a job. And you say listen, there's all kind. I know Rex Ryan can't interview good. Half this, like, what was Joe Woods saying in this interview? He couldn't even tell me why you couldn't cover nobody. The proof is in the pudding. At some point in time, you just got to say, well, I'm not trying to hire him. And if I was Eric Bieniemy, I would tell you, I would give you this one point of advice. Go talk to Flores. Do you know what this means? You're going to have to perform twice as good as they do for you to even be established or get a job.
If he does it again, he's hired, period.
But he has no quarterback. So, so now they said, think about the extremes here. You go from Patrick Mahomes and showing Patrick Mahomes what he can do and winning multiple Super Bowls. They want you to go prove it for the worst organization in the league.
In defense, though, in all likelihood, the team that he would have become a head coach for, they don't have a quarterback either.
But
that's why they're looking for a new head coach.
But it's not a lateral move, though.
No, it's not.
I'll take that chance with 1 in 32.
The shame of it is he's got to leave Kansas City.
That's crazy.
To make that next step.
Right.
Here's my hope. When I first read the news, I thought, wow, that really sucks.
That sucks bad.
Other guys with far less credentials and success have leapfrogged him to become a head coach. And this guy has to go to a team with no quarterback and start basically from ground level zero and prove it all over again.
In a division that has the NFC champs,
it's the toughest division of football.
Yeah.
Here's the good news.
Yeah.
If he does it, this nonsensical talk about who gets the credit.
Yeah.
He's going to look like a shining star in the sky.
If they have a decent offense, they're not going to have a great.
Just be above average.
Yeah.
But that's the.
It's got some wide receivers there.
That's the point. Like if you're
Matt Nagy didn't have to go prove it somewhere else.
If you're a black man, we've listened to this for years.
Right.
If you just go be twice as better, we'll give you a shot.
Yeah, that's a different.
That hits different.
Yeah.
Like I gotta be perfect. I gotta do it without a quarterback. I gotta do it with Dan Snyder looking at me. I gotta do it with no picks. And it's like I've shown you my worth. You know how hard it is to get to a Super Bowl. We should know. We've had hundreds of people come try. They're all terrible. This man has done that. His bosses, his superior, has told you that this man is worthy of it, but he has to go start from zero and prove it again just because, well, I like him better.
A former beat writer, NFL beat writer, who's retired as a journalist, but he was a longtime beat writer, I asked him his thoughts about this, about the whole thing that he's got to move. And here's what he said. He said, you can look at it as a negative, and it's not fair that he has to do it. However, this much is accepted league-wide, and I want your thought on this. He said, whether or not Andy's calling 48% of the plays or not, Andy's done everything he could to try to help Eric get a job. He said, Andy's willing to do that because he knows that the train's going to keep moving. Mm-hmm. He knows, like Belichick knew, when you lose all of these coordinators, I've got this thing going in the right direction. I'm going to be fine. So Andy's doing everything he can by coming out and saying he calls more plays than I do and coming out and trying to prop this guy up. But what this reporter told me and made sense, it just sucks. It sucks, that's reality. But he said, in Washington, he's going to now have the opportunity and the privilege to run an offense without Andy looking over his shoulder. And that's when we're going to see Eric Bieniemy blossom. So it is kind of a sink or swim scenario, because if he fails miserably, guess what the narrative's going to be? It's already written.
Right.
But if he succeeds, he doesn't have to. He doesn't have to take the Redskins.
I know, but it's not an apples to apples.
It's not, and it's not fair.
We got to move on. But go ahead.
Washington wasn't terrible last
they
year.
won. And
Like
they've got
there's
the
some
pieces
talent
on.
there. They
They've
don't
got
have
a
a
nice
quarterback.
young running back.
No, they do have
They've
good
got
pieces.
nice receivers.
They got no quarterback.
My hope for him is he takes them and wins the NFC East. If he wins the NFC East, he's
Yeah.
head coach next year.
Here's the thing that's frustrating. I think they can boil it all down. If you go to the Super Bowl, your coordinators get jobs. Period. Like, and it happens.
Just about
Look at the
exclusively.
Eagles. Look at Philly. They win the Super Bowl.
No, you know what? I'll tell you what.
Lose the Super Bowl, but both their
Although
That's a
coordinators.
good
Bengals
point.
coordinators didn't get jobs, which I'm
But
glad.
no, but
Yeah.
you're right.
Yeah.
However, it would have been 3 Super Bowls ago. The 2 coordinators that played in that Super Bowl are now on different teams, but not as head coaches. Byron Leftwich, fired in Tampa Bay, and Eric Bieniemy had to move for a lateral job. But
Yeah.
you're right. If you and I'd be curious to go back 10 Super Bowls and find out how
Yeah.
many of those 20 coordinators
Moved
got
on
head
to
coaching
head
jobs
coaching
the next
jobs.
year.
Right. Within
It'd be
a
a
year.
great
we should-
research project.
I think we should leave it here, get to the AFC
Yeah, we do.
North
We
team.
have to
We'll get-
go. And
yeah.